Hello, my friends, and welcome to the YouTube video. Today's video is going to be me answering questions that I got over a voice memo from my friends and family, and I got this idea from Jess Conti. She's here on YouTube. This is her profile. I just loved this idea, and so I thought that it would be a really fun video. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So as I said, I got questions over voice memo from a lot of my different friends and family members, and so I have quite a few questions, so I'm super excited. Currently, I'm in Missouri. This is a different setup. We're at an Airbnb, and it's so cute and fun and nice. This is the first question.
I'm sure everyone has a favorite Bible verse or Bible passage, but my question for you is, do you have a favorite Bible verse or Bible passage? And what is it, and why is it so special to you, or why does it resonate with you so much?
My favorite, I'm going to answer both of these because I have two favorite Bible passages, like stories, and multiple actually, but I will tell you the one, like them in a, try to consolidate them, and then I'll tell you my favorite Bible verse. But I'm going to tell you my favorite Bible verse first. It is 1 John 4:18 and 19. I don't have the exact memorization. To paraphrase it, it says essentially like, there's no fear in love because perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. We love because he first loved us, talking about Jesus. I just really love that because sometimes in my life I have fear of like being abandoned or like loving people or letting people really close to me. That verse just really resonates with me to help me remember that perfect love that is from the Lord drives out fear, and so I don't have to be afraid. My favorite Bible passages, pretty much any that have to do with like the Lord redeeming a woman. So like the woman at the well, how he calls out her sin and he just loves her, and they're from two different people groups that are supposed to hate each other. And so, and he, at that time, like women weren't valued. And so him to speak to her at all, but especially because she's in a different people group, he essentially loved her even though he didn't have to or wasn't supposed to. And I just think that that is such a beautiful story of who Jesus is, and I love him so much for that, and it's just something that really resonates with me. I also love the story of the bleeding woman. She bled for many, many years, and at that time it was, you were unclean if you were having a menstrual cycle or bleeding, or just you were ritually unclean. And so she had faith that if she could just touch the hem of his garment that he was wearing, that she knew that she would be healed. And she was correct, and not only that, but also something I love about this story is that Jesus took the time to know her. He stopped in the crowd and he said, "Who touched me?" because he felt his healing power leave him, and his disciples were like, "Well, there's a ton of people here. Obviously someone touched you." And he was like, "No, I know someone that had a lot of faith touched me." And so he turns to her and he just says, "Your faith has made you well." And essentially he just commends her for having such faith, and I love that story. And I also love the story of the adulterous woman, that she was found, you know, not living properly and living in sin. And my favorite thing is of this story that the religious leaders bring her before Jesus, and it is like, she deserves punishment, she did this, and his response is, "You without sin cast the first stone." And one by one they left, because we're all sinners. We can't throw that stone because we are not perfect. And he was the only one qualified to throw that stone, and he still chose not to. And so I just really love that story, and I think it's very beautiful, and it shows the character of God, that he could condemn us and he could, judge us or judge us harshly or not be gracious to us, but instead he looks at us and he says, "Your sins are forgiven, go and sin no more." And so I really love those passages. They are very near and dear to my heart.
I know that your favorite color is green,
It is.
specifically like a darker olive green or sage. But my question is, why is it your favorite color? Why do you lean toward it so much? And what about it makes it your favorite color of all time?
So green is my favorite color. These shades right here specifically are my favorite color. I had them in my wedding. I love green, and I love green because it reminds me to be optimistic, because I feel like green is an optimistic color. It's a positive color. it also reminds me of growth. And so, like, if we're constantly growing, I think that that's really good. And you can grow in many different aspects, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, like all of the things. And I think that growth is just such a good thing. And I also think that something that it reminds me of, green is often used to describe envy, like green with envy. And so, because I have that knowledge, thinking of green, it reminds me to not be envious of other people's growth, and like that comparison is the death of joy, and that the Lord is growing all of us at our own pace and at our own time. And so we all, can just take our time essentially to grow well and to encourage each other in our growth, and that it doesn't have to be a competition all the time. And so that's why I like green. And I also love that nature is green. I just think that it reminds me of God's creation a lot as well.
My next question is, do you have any nicknames from people in your life? And if so, what are those nicknames? And who are they from? And are there any that especially hold a special place in your heart? Or I guess you could say are your favorite nicknames?
So I have quite a few nicknames. Kenz is one of them. A lot of my friends call me Kenz. That's why, like, because my full name is Kinsey Brooke Flannery. And a lot of people call me Kenz just because it's a shortened version of my name. And so I really love when people call me that. I love that nickname. I think it's very sweet. It's also why on here I call myself Kenz, because like we're all friends. I want us to be friends. And so I just really find that nickname, I really like it, and it feels just very endearing. My mom and sister call me Kenny Winnie or Kinsey Winsey. My sister called me that the day I was born, and it just stuck. And so I like that nickname, but they and some of my aunts call me that sometimes, and so just it's sweet. But my friend Lauren that asked this question, she sometimes calls me KK, because my old last name was Knippa. That was my initials, KK. I like that nickname. It is funny because I would never be called that like around my family, because my older sister in my family is KK, and so it's just funny. Her name is Cameron Knippa, and so it's just funny that in different areas you're called different nicknames. My grandpa calls me Kinzer, like Kenzer. I love that nickname. It's one of my favorites because he's the only person that calls me it. I feel like the ones that are really like unique, I just really enjoy, and they're very close to my heart. And so he calls me Kinzer, and it's just really sweet. And he has for a long time, and so I love it. And then my dad calls me either like Little Wonder or Small Human, and they're like all interchangeable. Like sometimes he'll call me Small Wonder or Little Human. But as I've gotten older, it's kind of morphed into either just calling me like Hey Small or Hey Little or Hey Human or Hey Wonder. And so it's just, I love those nicknames. I just think they're really cute. He's called me that forever, and he's like the only person that calls me that. And so those are very near and dear to my heart as well.
Are there any conspiracy theories that you find particularly interesting or mind boggling? And if not, is there anything that consumes your mind and really gets you thinking?
I feel like there are a handful of conspiracy theories that, like, I could see. I wouldn't say that I'm someone that, like, always looks into conspiracy theories. Sometimes I will go down, like, a rabbit hole on TikTok or something, and I'll be like, that could be true. Like, for example, like, different assassinations, different, like, during different times. Like, Princess Diana, her mysterious death. It's not an assassination, she just died, but, like, it's interesting. Like, different assassinations of, like, different presidents or different political leaders. I think that that's interesting. Or, like, different celebrities, even, like Marilyn Monroe, for example. I just think that they're really interesting. And, like, I wonder if that's actually what happened, or if, like, the media tells a certain thing. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just interesting. But I wouldn't say that I necessarily have like a specific conspiracy theory that I'm just like that one. I think of that all the time. But I will say something that consumes my mind is thinking about like different things in Revelation that like we probably don't understand. Like for example, the Leviathan and the Behemoth. Those are crazy to me. I don't have enough information on them to like give you like educated information, but if you're interested, you can look here and find more information. But yeah, those different things, those consume my mind probably quite a bit.
What's a completely unnecessary purchase that you would defend with your life?
Oh, this is a good question. I don't know. What is a completely unnecessary purchase that I would defend with my life? Probably anything that has to do with books or like I really want a Kindle. I haven't bought it yet, but I really want one. I don't need a Kindle. I just want one. Um, but I would defend it with my life because I love to read and I could have an unlimited amount of books at my fingertips at all times if I have Kindle Unlimited. So that would probably be one of them, like if I ever do get that. Something that I currently have, probably the amount of blankets that I have, because you can never have too many comfort objects. Blankets, hoodies, different things like that. I love comfort objects. And so those are probably things that I would defend with my life. I can't really think of anything else that's like just completely like out of left field right now. I feel like sometimes I like to buy things that are like either secondhand or like not too terribly expensive, so I feel as if it's not like completely unnecessary, but like I probably have some more. I just can't think of it. But that book, the Kindle, wanting to get a Kindle, that would probably be an unnecessary purchase that I would defend with my life. And then just different like probably like certain like comfort objects and clothing and things like that. So that'd probably be one of them.
What's something you used to be insecure about, but now you love about yourself?
I really love this question. I think something that I used to be insecure about, that I used to get made fun of a lot for, was my freckles. I used to be really insecure that I had freckles. My mom, whenever I was a kid, would tell me that they're angel kisses instead of freckles so that I would feel better about it. But I used to be incredibly insecure about my freckles, and now I love them. Like, people all the time, like, people get tattoos of freckles and like put fake freckles on all the time, and I have them naturally. I really like my freckles now, and I used to not. I think that that's probably one of them. I do love that about myself. I also think my hair, I used to like be really insecure because my hair would like fall out or it was really thin, and now like as I've taken care of it more, just like the fruits of my labor for my hair, it's made it more healthy, and so that's something that I also love about myself now, I'd say. I used to be insecure about my laugh too, but now I like it. I think it's fun and funny, and I like that laughter encourages other people to laugh. So, probably those three things.
Hi, Kenzie. My question is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever gotten? And I have another one. What are the top 3 books you have read in your entire life?
Okay, so the best piece of advice I've ever been given. That's a good question. Y'all are asking me good questions, friends. Y'all are really good at this. I have to think for a second. Okay, I think the best piece of advice I've ever been given. In high school, I played golf, and my grandpa is like an amazing golfer. He's literally like one of my best friends in the whole world. And we were talking one time, and he told me, he was like, Kinsey, golf is a lot like life. You get out of it what you put into it. And I think that that's a really good piece of advice because, like, it's essentially like saying, like you have to work for things that you want, and like the things that you put effort into, you'll get things out of, and also like just your ability to care about others and just different things like that. That would probably be the best piece of advice I've ever been given because it's just really wise, and I don't know how to necessarily explain that, but like that's the quote. Golf is like life. You get out of it what you put into it. That's something that stuck with me for a long time. And then my top 3 books of all time. That's also a hard question. The top 3 books that I've ever read would be This Is Where It Ends by, I don't know how to say her last name. This is the book. This Is Where It Ends by this author. I loved that book. I think that everyone should read it. It touches on some really heavy topics, but it's so good. It is so, so good. And I love this book so much. Like, it's probably one of my favorite books of all time. It's just very impactful, and I love it. Another book that I've read that is so good is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Love it. And then another one would be Not a Fan by Kyle Idleman. I like this book a lot because it just really talks about like the difference between being a follower of Jesus and a fan of Jesus, and like the difference between that. and just like challenging yourself to look at your life and like how you're living for Jesus. And so I'd say that those are my top 3 books of all time. Love them. So good.
Okay, I'm so excited for this. I think this is so awesome. But my question is, as someone who recently after graduation has kind of started her own fitness journey but struggles with like motivation and kind of where to start, what made you want to start your fitness journey and what keeps you motivated on days that you don't want to do it? Hopefully that's okay. And if not, let me know and I'll send something else.
That was sweet. So, what inspired me to start my fitness journey, if you don't know, sometimes I will upload shorts on like TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram of just like my different workout routines and just kind of like a realistic version of what what a person really trying to figure stuff out does. And something that inspired me to start this is just I want to be healthy in general, and 2, I have a condition called PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I've just done a lot of different research on it, and I don't want to be on birth control ever again. I was in high school to try to help, and I think that it just made it worse. That's my personal experience. It's not everybody's experience, but I just would like to more naturally figure out how to regulate my cycles and just different things like that. And so I feel like, just taking care of my body and like eating well and moving my body and running and working out and just different things like that, it just really encourages health in that area, but it also helps my mental health a lot. But also I just want my kids to not have to struggle, and the healthier that I am whenever I have children, the healthier they'll be through their whole life. Like the healthier that Sean and I are whenever we conceive and have a child, the healthier that they'll be through the rest of their life. And I think on days when I don't feel motivated, I just think the same thing. I do it for them one day, and I hope they know how much I love them. And I also just, our bodies are a temple of the Lord, and I want to be a good temple for the Holy Spirit. And so those are probably the things that keep me going.
Hey, Kenz, it's KK. My question for you is, what is your current favorite book?
My current favorite book is actually a series. I'm reading Harry Potter, and that's my current favorite. Like, it's just such a good series. It's so fun. My favorite one so far has been the 3rd one. I'm on the 4th one. That is probably my current favorite book and like series right now.
So I know a lot has changed in your life since this time last year. So my question is, what has hindsight taught you in the last year?
That's a good question. Completely and truly, hindsight has taught me to not try to control things so much, just to kind of let things happen, and like not in a like a flippant way of like not caring, but like genuinely just not feeling like you have to have control over everything. This past year I got married. We've lived almost a whole year being married. We've been married for about 10 months, I think. And so I've just really learned like it's just really not up. Like it is like there are certain aspects of life that are up to you and you have to take care of it. But like genuinely, like you don't know everything that's going to happen anyway. So like you might as well just trust God with it and kind of be more go with the flow and like try not to control everything. Like don't hold a death grip on everything. I just look back at my life and I just think like wow, like there could have been a lot of things that could have been easier for me if I just wasn't so dead set on having so much control over it.
Hi, Kenzie. I was just curious about your meal planning, how you go about planning your meals and making your shopping list, and just kind of how you handle things in the kitchen.
So I would say that pretty much every week okay, pause. There is a meat market near where we live, and it's really nice. And we get all of our meat from there because I think that it's better quality and it saves a little bit of money. And so we get all of our meat from there. And so we have a deep freeze, and so we buy up, like we stock up and put it in there. I mean, as much as like for 2 people can. So we buy our meat from there, and then that makes the rest of our grocery bill lower because you buy meat in like bulk at a nicer price there, and then you get like your vegetables and produce and just different things. I have a magnet thing on my fridge that you like can write on with expo marker, and it has like the days of the week, and it's like your meal prep or whatever. And so I have that so that I can write out our meals and we know. And then we also have an app on our phones, me and Sean, that we share a calendar on, and it's called Time Tree. The app icon looks like this. It's free, and you can have like different colors for different things, and then you can share your calendar so that like you can know like what's what for that day, if that makes sense. And so I also put all of our meals in there. And then for shopping, I have a little bit of ADHD, so I always have to make a list of some sort, whether that's in my notes app, on my HEB app. I pretty much solely shop at HEB because we live in Texas and I love HEB. And then I usually just buy every week for that week. I just try to plan accordingly in that way. And I always try to do pretty balanced meals, like do a base of something that's like relatively healthy. And then also like you're supposed to do different portions of like vegetables and just different things like that. I always try to make sure that we have balanced meals. But yeah, so I'm still obviously learning because it's a life process, and I think that we can always learn more about it. That's what I do right now. And if y'all have any suggestions of something that I could do different to make it easier, let me know.
I was curious about your plant propagation and kind of what your process is for that and how you decide what you want to propagate.
So I love taking care of my plants. I have quite a few, like I have a few ivies that you can propagate and different things like that. And also pretty much what I do is I look at my bulkiest plants, and I first look up if I can propagate those because I'm still learning. Also, my friend Lauren is really good and knows a lot about plants, and so sometimes I'll ask her questions if I don't know. But I look on like Pinterest, and I use ChatGPT, and I Google a lot of different things of how to take care of plants. And then I also ask Lauren because she is readily available in my life. But I just do that, and then the process is just essentially what grows the quickest or like what can be propagated, and then I just want to make as many plants out of what I already have right now because I feel like the more sustainable it is like to grow them out of themselves and like propagate and make more, it just is more beneficial because it's saving money, and it also is just spreading plants around your house that are breathe easy plants. I always try to make sure that the plants that I buy are really good for like purifying the air in your house, and then I just try to put them all over our house. I don't know if that was scattered or if that answered your question, but often my brain is a little bit scattered with my plants.
I've noticed you have a dog that is so well behaved and trained, and he's just doing such a great job. And I was wondering what the process has been like for you to train him to do all of the things that he does.
So Silo is a miniature Aussie Doodle, and recently, because I lost my job at the beginning of February, I've had a lot of time with him one-on-one to just be able to train him and do different things. And the process of that kind of started with I was working on just mainly like little obedience things like sit, shake, stay here, and I taught him all of that in our living room in a very confined space. And then I moved us to the backyard so that he could have more distractions and it could be outside. And then after that, we started doing it on like walks and stuff. And like, for example, he'll walk off leash and he stays with us and like knows the cues and commands. I also have a shot collar for him, and don't come at me, guys. I know that that seems sad, but I never actually shock him anymore. When we first did it, we would shock him, but we realized just with his temperament that that was just too much. And so there's a sound on his collar that you can use, and then also like a vibration. So like it does a little bit of like stimulation, but not like shocking, if that makes sense. And so we use that to reinforce good habits. The main thing is just making sure that they're comfortable with you and you're comfortable with them, because I think that dogs can incredibly well sense whenever you're stressed or when you're trusting them, and they react off of that. Dogs can be kind of reactive. But yeah, essentially just I started with like certain things in the house, and then I moved us to the backyard, and then we would do it on walks. And we also have some friends that have a German Shepherd dog, and whenever they walk together and like can, because he's also trained off leash, And so when they walk together, it also helps just enforce good behavior, and it just helps them, bounce off of each other and learn different things in that way.
Hi, Kenzie. I was wondering if you had a schedule for for housekeeping. If you clean certain things on certain days, or if you do laundry on certain days. How do you go about keeping everything clean and organized?
I struggle with a few of these things, actually. This is something that I'm still trying to learn how to do better. But growth is always important and always a good thing. But I do try to have a schedule. Like I don't know if it's necessarily a schedule as much as it's like tools, right? So, like, for example, our washing machine, I have a laundry basket that is exact size that would fit all of the clothes in our washing machine, if that makes sense. And so, like, every single time that that's full, I start a load and then I'll put it up, and I'll try to do that. Like, I try to mop at least once a week in our kitchen, because like that's the main thing that has floor that you would mop instead of like carpet. I vacuum like at least once or twice a week, just because having a dog, like, he doesn't shed, but just sometimes like his toys, like if he's been chewing on it, stuff can get off of it, or just different things like that. Essentially, like, my schedule is just like try to at least twice a week vacuum, try to every other week dust, do laundry every single time the basket is full, mop whenever I remember, probably twice. Probably when I dust, I also mop, so like twice a month. And then I try to make our bed every day, and I do our sheets once a week because I just feel like having new sheets every week is nice. And then I wash our towels once a week as well. And so, like, that's just kind of my schedule. I do the dishes literally every day, all the time. I feel like I'm always doing dishes. I try to like load the dishwasher at night and have it going overnight, and then put it up in the morning so that during the day we can put our dishes in the dishwasher. That doesn't always happen because, life is life. And so, but that is something that I try to do right now. My last question is for my favorite person in the whole world, my husband.
Hey Kenzie, my question for you is, if somebody just found your YouTube channel today, what would be something that you hope they either learned or take away from it as a whole?
I love him so much. If you were here at my YouTube channel for the very first time, I hope that you would learn or take away that Jesus loves you so, so much, and that nothing you have ever done or ever could do would make him love you less. And I also would hope that you know that as long as I am here on this earth, that there is someone that cares about you, and you're just so worthy of being loved. Thank y'all so much for joining me for today's YouTube video. I love you all so much, and you are so loved. You are the greatest guys and gals I've ever known. I appreciate all of you that are here, and I love you so much. Don't forget to comment if you have any questions, or comment what other videos you'd like to see. And if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, that would be great.